Obviously, the Supreme Court is hearing the case right now with gerrymandering. Do you have any thoughts about the proposal that a test to determine using indication of wasted votes as a way to determine whether a district is favoring one party over the other?
I think the arguments against it are completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the fact is, if you look, anyone who's done Politics 101 knows that a statewide test versus there are just certain places in any state, not just in Wisconsin, where there are large concentrations of votes. And so those areas, it's not just a matter of whether they're going to win or not. Even though statewide it's a very competitive state, you've got huge numbers of Democrat votes in places like Madison and Milwaukee. In fact, in Madison, if I recall, some of the wards in the 2000 election for president, Ralph Nader actually got was compatible with George W. Bush in terms of the numbers that were received, and obviously Al Gore and then John Kerry got large percentages greater. And so that just shows there's high volumes of votes in those areas versus many other places across the state. They're pretty evenly dispersed and very competitive.
Right, but if it's all focused in one district, then regardless of how many votes are there, it wouldn't affect across the state if the districts are just in a manner in which their votes are going to, if it's going to go Democrat anyway, the argument being, well, then why not divide it in a way so that they would have a
Actually, if you do it in an urban area, you actually, the way that it was done in the past, I remember as a kid studying political science and government, where they showed true gerrymandering, which was ways here and in the South in particular, where they would gerrymander to disperse and mitigate minority votes.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd create what was almost what they called a wheel effect, where spokes would go out, where it would start in a large urban area where there was a high volume of African American votes, and then would go out into more suburban areas so that white Democrats would win at the expense of minority votes casting their vote for a minority representative. That changed not just cycle, but several cycles ago in redistricting, where it was an odd alliance between Republican-drawn maps and maps drawn by African American and other minority-based groups that wanted to have more people of color in the state legislature. And that's why you don't have maps like that. It's not because of Republican or Democrat. The main arguments in the past have been you should have as close to one vote per person, or in terms of population masses lining up, and you should have communities of interest being likely aligned so that you didn't have, the idea being that if you have a bunch of small towns, you should likely keep small towns are more aligned with big cities and vice versa. And so they tried to keep communities of interest, tried to protect minority voting rights, tried to keep the districts as close in population as with very little deviation. All those criteria are mapped in the state's map. Those are all things that have been upheld in previous actions, and that's really, to me, what the court should be deciding.